microphone. Who this? It's been a while. It's always a while in between stuff. But today we have a story time that I finally decided to do because I gave up the idea of overthinking it and really just focusing on the moral of the story, which is my villain origin story. So the best thing I could do is really just stay intentional with the details, make the connections in between my reasoning for bringing up certain stuff, and hoping that this new microphone is better than the last one. It's cheap like the last one, but it look a little better though. So, okay, the moral of this story. First off, I'm Jay New Orleans. I do all kind of videos, like really just whatever is I'm gonna do at that moment. I guess I don't know. I don't have a niche. So like, comment, subscribe, and all of that other stuff. It's easier thought out than actually doing. Cause I mean, for the last few days, I've been thinking about how I was gonna do this, but now that I'm doing it, it's like I don't know why I do that. I go through that where my brain just be blank when it's time to talk, but when I'm thinking, I could think of all kinds of stuff to say. It's amazing. It's very amazing. But without further ado, we'll start off with I hate pauses and I hate editing, but I'll be like, damn, hopefully I don't really be needing to edit. But it's already 2 minutes and I'm just Jesus. We're gonna basically uh I don't feel like editing none of this. I'm already thinking about me editing the pauses and stuff. Okay, so literally anytime I have like a mindset related opinion, it doesn't really make sense to people who don't know me and don't know my backstory or who don't have similar experiences because typically people are weird. I always say that people are weird, and they're weird because when you do something, a person will not hesitate to take it whatever way they want to. If it's something that they perceive to be negative, they will immediately take it in a negative manner. But whenever you're telling people about other people, for some reason, you would swear that they have a job fair in hell because the way people rush to be devil's advocate in situations that really don't even need a devil's advocate when it comes to other people is amazing because them same people who advocating for the next person that they don't even know, they just hearing your situation with them. When it's your turn to need an advocate, they ain't gonna do that for you. That's why it's amazing to me. And that's why this story is kind of one of the many other stories that are a part of my villain origin story when it comes to being a giver, a retired giver, a reformed giver, things like that, a giver gone bad, because people just, even if a person ain't a user, you present a giver to somebody, something in them just starts to slowly develop entitlement. Some people develop it faster than others. Some people come in the game already with the entitlement. So this is what happens. Okay. With this particular story, it was a lady, we gonna call her TD. TD had a family member that was single, and of course, you know how the game go. People really just feel like they want to hook me up with anybody, and it's amazing at some of the connections that people thought were a good idea because it's like, okay, that basically means you really think that I'm not worth shit because looking at the people that they connected me with, it's not even me thinking I'm better than anybody, but it's just certain habits and certain ways people carry themselves. It's like you really can't be nice about describing a person based off of how they live their life. Like if a person is dirty, they're dirty. If a person is a bum, they're a bum. You can't put lipstick on a pig. which people still try. So, anyways, we gonna call a family member Caffeine because they did work at a caffeine place. So what happened was it started off with TD playing matchmaker, and of course, I've always been a person to always be open minded because I never want to be that person that people say, "Hey, maybe you missed out on this opportunity because you were closed off and you didn't like, I guess, keep your options open or whatever." So it started off with us first meeting through TD. So, it's like caffeine is like I'm caffeine and I'm like I'm Jeremiah, aka Jeezy, aka Jerry, aka King Jeezy baby, aka J New Orleans, or whatever. So we starting off with both of us finding each other attractive. Okay, cool. Not to be shallow, but it's always nice to start off with attraction. Cool, bam. So next thing you know, me being somebody who has always been intentional before I knew what intentional was, in this instance, I'm like, okay, my first goal is to familiarize myself with this person because anytime someone is a stranger, if they're going to be around me, I need to know as much about you as possible. I'm not going to rush it. It really is based off of the interactions we have. Sometimes you can find out in a way where you and the person, y'all have so much in common that y'all end up just flowing, like flowing with stories, flowing with experiences, flowing with mindsets, flowing with ideas or whatever. Then you have other instances where maybe you got to start off with a few questions first, break the ice. Even though a lot of people love to ask, "What's your favorite color?" Nothing's wrong with that question, but it's crazy when you do that and you have nothing else to follow up with it. But anywho, we getting to know each other allegedly, and Caffeine is a store manager at a a coffee place, which is like okay, it's good. I really feel like when I'm josing people, I really want a person to have as much of their own as possible because I don't need anything from you, but the more you have, the less I have to worry about you coming for the shit that I have for the most part. Like I'm all for people being babies and sugar daddies and all of that other stuff. But my issue is when people try to finesse that out of a person. If a person ain't moving in that manner already and they genuinely like you, I think it's unfair to them when you don't like them, but you basically false present attraction or whatever for the benefit of what these people have to offer. And again, thinking about this story time is completely different than actually telling it because I just knew I was gonna be flowing, but oh well, I need to do it more often, probably. And yeah, I should have did the notes like I thought I was, but I'm like, nah, that's too much. So, anyways, so we hang out like a bunch of times, like in public, in private, things like that. And for me, I'm always so happening to Joe's people around their birthday or around a holiday. But my birthday always either already be in past or be far away. So it's like for me, if we Josing and your birthday come around, I'm gonna celebrate your birthday because I just feel like that's the right thing to do. And for me, I have a bad habit of treating people the way I want to be treated, which is really not a good thing because if you treating people top tier because you want to be treated top tier, that's not always going to be reciprocated. You have to, I kind of read the room sometimes. Like, yeah, treat people the way you want to be treated, but also have the understanding that some people, your way of thinking or way of operating may be out of some people's scope of support. And that doesn't make them any less of a person. But yeah, so treating people the way you want to be treated, 0 out of 10 will recommend. All of that is better to give than to receive thing. That's not really something that is I feel like is applicable for these days. Like growing up, it was cute to hear those phrases, but now it's kind of weird because everybody's delusional, everybody's the villain, everybody's the victim, everybody's the good person, everybody's the bad person. There's no self-awareness. So anyways, Back to the story with caffeine. So I'm feeling caffeine. It's like, okay, caffeine is attractive. Caffeine has a job, which it could have been any job. I mean, I feel like you have your own place, you have your own stuff going is admirable because it's really not easy. It takes a lot of responsibility. As you can see, is you have to deal with the economy, you have to deal with pay disparities, you have to deal with a lot of different things. So people having their own is admirable. And from there, it's like it felt like we making progress. But for me, I've always had this sixth sense when it comes to dealing with people, and a lot of times it'll give me information on or insight on situations, but it'll be too accurate to where I just feel like, okay, there's no way that I know that all of this stuff is gonna happen when there's literally nothing showing that this stuff is gonna happen. But given my intuition track record, you know, at this point, I don't even fuss with it no more. I just put my seatbelt on and just know, okay, we about to hit a pothole. So I'm just sensing a lot of inconsistency with this person because surface level, everything is good. On paper, everything is good. Text message, everything is good. Phone conversation, everything is good. But it's like I just something was off and I didn't know what it was, but I eventually stuff started making sense. So during this time of dealing with caffeine, we built this rapport of where I would visit caffeine because for me at this time I was working overnight schedule, so I would get off at like anywhere from 3 to 7 a.m. It just depends on the workload we had because it was a warehouse, and you know how that goes. If you know how that goes, if you don't, then you don't. So from there, they used to be at work morning to like afternoon or evening, which kind of corresponds with management. You know, most jobs, if they have a management shift, they usually try to have them working like during the daytime or whatever. So I would visit caffeine and at work, and it would be awkward because it's like I don't like visiting people at work because I don't know how your job is. Some companies will make an issue out of you having visitors, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh, you be having too many people talking to you while you at work and you don't be getting your work done. And for me, I never want to be the reason that you get in trouble for talking to somebody at work or playing on your phone at work. Like for me, I feel like it's space and opportunity for me to be available to people. So do not risk your income. I don't play with people income. I feel like if you lose your job or if you do anything at work, let that be 100% you. I don't want no parts of it. I don't. I'm not stopping nobody bags. Word to the TSA. So upon having this rapport of always visiting caffeine at work, it was normal because I would usually be off on Fridays and Saturdays at the warehouse, and work days was Sunday through Thursday. They did have optional times where you could sign up to work overtime on Fridays and Saturdays because, of course, it's a warehouse. Like, it's always something to be done. And before and during dealing with caffeine, I used to do that. But of course, me being me, I have a bad habit of prioritizing people prematurely, and it's because if I leave them where they at, like with me, I'm a busy person. I'm always busy, but I have to work you into my life. Otherwise, you never gonna be able to get in my life, like because pretty much every day is planned out. Even days that's spontaneous, I plan to be spontaneous. Which movies make fun of stuff like that, but time management is important and being intentional with your time is important, and you should always have an idea of where you headed and what direction you're doing and your progress on different things that you're trying to achieve in life. So that's why for me I have a habit of adding people into my life because if I don't, we ain't gonna never have time. Like I'm never gonna have time to talk to you because I'm probably going to sleep early or probably doing stuff, traveling, just doing different things. So if I don't make like put make a slot for you, even though you ain't important in the moment. We just getting to know each other. But if I don't give you a slot, we ain't gonna we never gonna get hot because it's never gonna be no connection made. So, but what that does is it kind of throws off the equilibrium because of course, when people are dating in the beginning, they got to be fake busy. They got to be fake uninterested. They got to play cat and mouse. Somebody has to be the chaser. The other one has to be the person running away. So, you know, I really wasn't doing the overtime at the warehouse like I would used to because of the fact that I would use those days to go hang out at caffeine job. And around this time, probably 2 months before we started Josin, they had just had like a real big concert and a lot of people went. I didn't go, but a lot of people went, and it was kind of like a show off situation for some people. A lot of people went for the artist, but a lot of people also went to kind of show off being in VIP, having expensive seats, and doing different things like that. So basically, caffeine and the person they was dealing with at the time, they went to try to be grand, but it's like they actually sacrifice bill money to go to that concert. That's to each his own. I really don't have no opinion on that because people are gonna do what they want with their life regardless. Me personally, I would have never done nothing like that because I care too much about stability over anything else. But I mean, they did it, it was done, whatever. I didn't notice at this point though. So basically, it's like I wanted to build up to where everything went to hell, but it's like I'll get better, I guess. Maybe just depending on the response. But anyway, so basically, the whole time we were Josin. The whole time we were Josin, it was basically just faking it till you making it. At that time, I was a newbie with financial literacy. Caffeine pretending to be interested in finances, fake interested in saving, fake interested in being responsible with money, fake interested with basically everything I wanted to do, which that happens a lot. And as I get into more of these story times, which dear God in the future, I'm definitely going to be more just telling the story first and then figuring out all the rest of this stuff because all of these introductions and disclaimers and shit. But this is my brain. My brain is a clusterfuck. I'm the only person who know how to really just use all of this stuff and make it make sense for the most part. But anyways, so chilling with caffeine on one of them days I could have been doing overtime making money at the warehouse, and we just so happened to be facing the parking lot because at this time I don't know if it was tobacco or if it was Mary J. Blige that they had because a lot of those places that like sell food, I guess they be more lenient. But anyways, nevertheless, we outside talking and facing vehicles. Why a tow truck swooped up like just swooped like a thief in the night, even though it was daytime, and hooked up caffeine car and pulled off. And I'm like, this is around the time where I really wasn't too big on what Repos was, and I didn't watch that TV show Operation Repo, so I was like utterly confused. Like honestly, if caffeine wouldn't have made a big deal about the car getting swooped and taken, I honestly wouldn't have even knew that that was something that wasn't intentional. I would have just assumed, hey, maybe they, it's the mechanic picking it up to service because some mechanics have tow trucks, and sometimes you might want to get your car serviced while you at work, and the mechanic be like, okay, well, you work an 8 hour shift a day. All I need is 3 hours to fix your car. I'm gonna come scoop it up, do the yin yang yang, and then bring it back to you before your shift over with. I don't know, but basically, that's when the truth started coming out with caffeine, and it was basically like, okay, Basically lied about that. So that's one lie that got revealed. You hadn't paid your car note in the 90 days. When you have smaller dealerships like the in-house financing, they typically will repo your car the first day you're late, just depending on whatever sick contract they got you in, which would be like a 360 deal. But with pretty much national finance vehicles, most of them I believe is anywhere from 60 to 120 days before they repo. But I have no idea. I don't get to the point of doing that. And, no shade to people who do, because every situation is different. Some people have no options. And then other people, like Caffeine situation, they live like millionaires to impress people who don't give a fuck about them. And eventually the clown come back to bite. So that was one thing. Okay, we continue talking. And of course, me being a giver with no boundaries at that given time, I start bringing caffeine to work because it's like, okay, I forgot what the lie was because it wasn't the truth. Like I'm broke, my car gone, and I just need you to bring me to work, and I'll give you gas because we Josing, we're not in a committed situation, and unfortunately for me, it's like people know you a giver before you give. You can pretend and be as much of a bad guy as you want to, hoping that it'll intimidate people and they'll think twice about trying to take advantage of you. But it's little small things that we don't even notice about ourselves that just screams, "I am a giver. Use me," even if we don't realize it. But people who are opportunists and take advantage of situations, they are going to always know because it's kind of like an animal instinct, like in the wild, how animals can smell each other and all that other stupid shit. So time go on and it's like, okay, the repo happened. We Josing, but it ain't really the dynamic then changed now. Cause at first it was like optionally you want to see me because we both free and we enjoying each other time. But then the dynamic switched up to basically, okay, now it's like every time I'm seeing you, I'm bringing you somewhere. I'm bringing you to work. I'm picking you up from work. You need to go to the grocery store. You need to go here. But my problem with that, and that's why I stand more on it now, is that we all should have our core people in our life. And I find it very weird when you in a situation where you leaning on people that's new to your life. Where are the people who've been around? Like, unless it's a situation where somebody come in the game as a taxi or a sugar daddy or whatever, if a person ain't on that type of time with you already, it don't make sense for you to be leaning on them. If y'all really just cool and y'all just getting to know each other, and people could set all of these little boundaries about not wanting to move fast. But baby, it's never too soon to ask for money. It's never too soon to get a ride. It's never too soon to lean on somebody for something. And that's what be bothering me with people when they do that. Which everything that is happening in this story is gonna take a few more times for it to happen to my dumb ass because I've been knew that I didn't like certain things, but you always again have these people playing devil advocate for these people and making you seem like you overreacting. But then when it's time for them to give you grace, they play in your face. Anyways, so back to that dynamic change. I'm playing taxi. So finally, one of the days I was bringing caffeine to work, and what time was it? It was a day that I had something planned to where I was off. So I had just got off from working the day before because the warehouse shift usually bleed over, but I was off that next day. So the plan was to run caffeine to work and then I guess do whatever I needed to get prepared for whatever I had planned that day for my personal life. Because again, this is just a joke. This ain't no relationship. So next thing you know, I'm waiting 30 minutes because the store manager was late. Now this is the plot twist right here. Caffeine had lied and said that Caffeine was the store manager. But apparently Caffeine was not a store manager. Caffeine was not a shift manager. Caffeine wasn't even a custodian. Caffeine was just a regular barista. And the whole thing about it is that nothing like that, whether you was a barista or you was the CEO, that didn't that wasn't the reason I josted you. Like I josted you and that was just a plus that you had a job. But it's like, okay, so now this is even more weird because if you were a barista, you definitely was living above your means, especially with that sports car, these VIP front row seats, concert tickets, and it was amazing. It's like, damn, because for me, I never understood living above means when it came to like people maybe having money. Like if I got paid 500 every week and I spend 550 every week, that's the closest I could do with living above my means. Like it's gonna be somewhere in the ballpark of what I'm getting in, and I just go over a little bit. But for people to be making a small amount, but their brain is able to spend 10 and 20 times what they actually make, that was something new to me. I'm like, damn, like that's the real hood rich. So, okay, you find out that we have the repo happening, then now we finding out you're not a store manager. You lied about that. Okay, so then another time, this was a time where I was going to make groceries, and every time I make groceries, young me need my ass whooped. That's all I'm gonna say. But every time I'm making groceries, whoever I was communicating with at that time, of course, I'm gonna offer to go get them some stuff. And when I came to bring Caffeine some stuff, they had a knock at the door, and they pretended like it was a family member coming to get something, and they just wanted them to hurry up and go, and they didn't want them in the business because we jokes and we ain't official, so it's not like you're gonna really be linked up with nobody like that. So I'm hiding in the room, and I look out the window. I see a Rennis in the truck. So I'm still hiding, and then I hear talking, and this, and this. But the thing about it, when you hear the talking, you can hear because I guess I don't know if it's just me, but when I hear people communicating, you could kind of tell when it's strangers, and you can kind of tell when it's somebody familiar. And it didn't sound like a family member. That sounded like very business oriented, and not to mention, you could hear the person explaining why they happened to come back. So basically, in this instance, it was a TV repossession. So we have the car being repoed. We have the having to wait on one of my off days because the store manager was running late, which revealed that they were not the store manager, so they lied about that. Now we got TV being repoed, which is crazy because it's like, okay, all of these different lies is basically just falling apart. Now, granted, for me, my better judgment would have me leave people at the first sight of any of this. But I always wanted to prove a point to people who tried to victim blame and make me seem like I was picky for having standards and different things. So basically, what I would do is always see these things through until it was just unbearable, just to have an aha moment to somebody who really their opinion shouldn't even matter. Because half these people who opinion matter to me, their life was in shambles. So it's like, why the fuck am I up here giving a fuck about somebody who can't even get rid of roaches? But anyways, so much for that. So back to that. Okay, so we got we have the I'm sure y'all probably cursing me out in the comments, but we have the car repo, we have the false position, and then we have the the rent center repo. So from there, the rise to work continued, but then it became strenuous because it was like, okay, it's been going on. It's been going on like 2 months of playing taxi, and $20 every 2 weeks ain't cutting it because this is a big ass city we in, and even before gas prices went up, ga- 20 was not enough. That wasn't even enough for a half a tank back then. And so I just had to kind of put my foot down. I'm like, listen, I have empathy for your situation. And this is the thing. I hate when I gotta address people because every time I address people, I always come correct and direct. And it just I guess people just not used to people standing on business because motherfuckers sit on business. That when I address situations, people always be shook because they never really be having a response. And I guess they're used to people being like sugarcoaters or not really being direct. So I basically was just like, listen, Caffeine, this is not gonna work. You have a lot going on in your life, and I really hope you get through it and you learn your lessons from this because based off of everything, you lied about being a store manager, you living above your means for a concert, and it's cute that you have the experience, but you didn't even have the mindset to know how to prevent yourself from losing all of this stuff. And like you really was cutting it that close in life to where one mishap made you just lose everything. And I don't think you should be dating right now. The fact that you need rides all of the time is eating my gas up, and you have a huge family. So I think that you shouldn't just be leaning on one person because anybody that's unfair to anybody. You should spread it out. And you know, so basically I just cut it off. I be trying, and younger me used to always want to be friends, not real friends, but like I never knew how to end the situation on bad terms. Like I always wanted it to be on good terms. And that's the crazy part about the whole villain origin story because at some point I just didn't give a fuck no more. Like if shit gotta end, it gotta end. If shit gotta get addressed, it gotta get addressed. And once it I started putting myself first because people gonna always put themselves first. And people ain't gonna hold their tongue for you. So why you holding your tongue for them? So that's why this is a part of the villain origin story. So mine is the little random pauses and the slight rambling. This is the whole reason of why I really just don't be playing with people because it's like you will be used any a chance a person can use you. Had I not said nothing and just kept playing taxi, it's no telling what would have happened to my car. And not to mention, I'm big on energy. A lot of times when people have problematic lives, that energy can start to affect your life. It may not be the same issue they having, but you might notice that a person with chaos in their life, being around them too much or having their energy somewhere in your vicinity, next thing you know, chaos start erupting in your life in ways that is not even normal for you. And you your spirit knows something wrong when it happens because it'd be like, what is all of this? Like, we don't do chaos over here, we do peace over here. Because the thing about peace is that it's something that you have to work to maintain and keep. It's not something that you get one time and it's just never going nowhere. It requires maintaining, just like credit, just like finances, just like people who want to get fit. All that requires maintaining. You can go get the lipo, but you got to work to keep the results. And that's the same thing with peace. So I just noticed that having the wrong people in your life, it messes up stuff too. And whenever you feel wrong about people, you got to live with them being in your life or them not being in your life. Stop needing acceptance from people to co-sign what you feel about something. If you dating and you don't like a person, you do not need your friend to agree with you because some people be giving op vibes, especially when a person is trash and somebody who care about you is trying to get you to accept it or call you picky for not accepting it. That's very op vibe because for me, if I love somebody, I want them to have the absolute best when it comes to people. Now, how I handle telling people about their own flaws, that varies. But when it comes to a person pointing out somebody else's flaws, I am never going to tell you that you should accept that. That's horrible. Like, who does that? But people do. That's who do it. And I'm gonna wrap this up right now. Like, how much of it get edited, I don't know, but that's the moral of the story, and that's one of my many stories. And comment down below. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, really, God bless you, because that's a long ass time. But I'm gonna continue to have more stories. Like, I really want to get the founding father stories out the way, as far as the things that kind of push me towards changing my mindset and handling stuff differently. But we'll see, y'all. But anyways, like, comment, and subscribe. And I did it, y'all. It took me forever.